Hey, welcome to the DVP channel, and today we do have another Himiko game against Kagero Overlord and Tachikaze Anger Blader. So Genesis do go first in this game right into the promo and decide to put the critical into the soul and draw one. Kagero does try into the hit shot dragon here, getting the quick shoe and discarding it to draw one additional card. And does swing with the Vanguard. Try checking into a lava flow, but a draw trigger yet again by the Genesis player, very strong player and consistent as well. He does run into the grade 2 grade 2 trial deck card, which allows him to check the top 2, allowing him to determine what kind of dry check he's gonna do, or rather what kind of cards he's gonna soul charge. So he does call the Grid 3 Searcher here, which he plays the Grid 3 on top, so he does secure the search. And the Grid 3 is the CEO Regalia. And he does discard the Grade 1 there. He does call the other Grade 2 trial deck card here to check the top 2 once again. He does decide to charge the Himiko instead. And the Kagero can guard for 1 pass here if he wants to, because he already knows the top card of the deck. He actually opts to throw the 20k shield instead, giving the Himiko a chance, and it's his own heal trigger. He does try to the Berserker Dragon here, which is a very uncommon card nowadays, and he does opt to kill off the Grid 3 Searcher and drawing 1 card because it's on the Vanguard circle. And he does opt to call the Iniro Dragon on the Vanguard circle, which allows him to check the top 7 for the cross, and he does hit it, and an SP version at that. A very strong baller here. He does call the Lava Flow, boosting the Iniro, checking the top 5 for a Grade 3, but he does miss the search. He swings the Vanguard. He actually swings the Vanguard with the Berserker, try checking into another Berserker and using the Iniro to hit the face. No draw trigger here. He actually does strike to the CEO here. Very unfortunate that we do not see a first strike Himiko, but we shall see how the game will flow. He does opt to put the Force 2 in the Vanguard circle, and do note that actually CEO is a returning Vanguard too. He does call the other CEO there, and using the skill to actually search for the Grade 2. And do note that when the CEO is on the Vanguard circle, if your units does have a Divine Gauge, they do get resist. So probably it's a heads up play by the Genesis player here to actually opt for the CEO, right? And he does call the second non here, and using his skill to draw 1 card, and now he can put 1 card from the soul to the gauge and then soul charging 2. And we do see another Himiko into the soul. Will we not be able to witness a Himiko game here? Let's call the ground promo here, actually putting the heal trigger from what we can see on top of the deck, which will go off. So he does save the Vanguard like this, which is just 23k with a Force 2. He does opt to no guard. A heal trigger will be proc here. He does pump to the side. And the opponent does eat to a critical trigger here, giving the Vanguard a 10k power. Now Non will use his skill to actually withstand the Vanguard, which will be 23k. He does swing at the side because the side does give 5k to himself and the Grade 3. So it's a 13k to the 10k Vanguard. He does let it go, and now the Vanguard will be swinging for a power of 28k. So you'll be a 28k Vanguard against the 20k Berserker Dragon. And he does opt for the 1 pass here. And the Genesis player do drive check into a critical trigger, which will be 3 damage, but we do see a heal trigger which comes in clutch, not ending the game yet. And we do see yet another heal trigger, so pushing it back to 4 damage, and it passes the turn because the Berserker Dragon is at a beefy 40k Vanguard. Now we do see the cross strike here, going for the Force 2 most likely, and Ibuki marker at that, at the Vanguard circle. And now he does use the skill to actually search for the end, which will inherit all the skill that you have. Now the cross has always been a nasty card ever since it was released, but it did drop off in favorability, I would say, because of how broken the other stuff are. Now we do see him actually committing the hit shot dragon behind the Vanguard, which is a very reliable AK booster for 3 swings. And he does call the second Enero dragon we do see in this game, searching for a top 7 once again. But unfortunately we do not see any top 7 search here. We do see the Berserker Dragon committed here, using its skill, but do note that because of the CEO skill, the Vanguard Circle, the units with Divine Gauge do get a resist, so he does only able to kill off the Grade 2 non behind or the Grade 1 promo, and he does opt for the Grade 2 non. And do note that Berserker Dragon does plus 3k when it has more regards than the opponent, in this case it does. So he's able to swing at the side because the side does have a Divine Gauge and he does get up for the 5k and he's throwing a 15k at that. And now the Vanguard will swing for a 21k power and 30k will be a 2 pass. Unfortunately, no triggers seen from the cross player, and now he'll be using the end skill. Actually opting for the 3 card discard first so that you get plus the 10k power, which will help hit over the Vanguard more better. Unfortunately, yet again, no trigger seen here, and the Himiko does put the 10k power to the side, not expecting the cross, and the cross will swing again. This will only be just a 1 pass, so he does re-evaluate, because he does power up the side rear guard instead of the Vanguard. So he's now in a very sticky situation because of that no respect. It looks like he's going to go for a no pass, or rather a no guard, and we do not see yet another trigger check from the cross, so very unlucky for him. And the cross has always been such a deck whereby it relies heavily on drive checking. So he does guard the Enero Dragon there, keeping the Himiko's keeping the CEO safe. And now we do actually see the Himiko right here, putting the marker 2 to the side. And calling yet another CEO, which will he have the non? Yes, he does. So now looking at the field, we do see 2 restanding rear guards there. So it's super strong, especially the fact that the Kagero plays already at 4 damage. So the draw triggers, or rather the marker 2, will definitely help in this game. And now he does use massively a lot of nons to actually soul charge 2, and we do see a critical trigger inside the soul. So it's now going to use the Himiko skill to actually soul plus 5, including one of the triggers, which is the critical trigger here, giving the buff to the 3 rear guards in front, or rather 3 units in front. So now all of them will be hitting for at least 2 critical and a 10k buff at that, and the Kagero player will not be able to actually eat any of the damage. So he does swing the Vanguard for only 23k power. And it's only a 1 pass. And he does successfully guard against it, but the fact that the nons, or rather the CEO columns, are hitting for at least twice per attack, or rather twice per column, so the Kagero does opt to eat the damage and we do not see any huge triggers, and this is game. So now we move on to the Tachikaze game, which it was released in the ban list. So how will this deck actually fare against the Himiko? So actually the Tachikaze does go first this game and riding to the Vicious Claw. And we will be seeing another Vicious Claw committed here, getting 1 gauge, preparing for the next turn, and the turn passes to the Himiko player. Riding to the Great One here, getting the Quick Shield and then discarding the Quick Shield to draw 1 card. And thus swing the Vanguard, checking into a Himiko, so we will be seeing Himiko, but a draw trigger is received on the Tachikaze end. Now he does ride into the Mega Rex here, and now calling the sweep and the cat, gauging it to the sweeper. And now he does swing with the cat and the sweeper column, or rather the cat column, and now gauging 1 more to the sweeper. The Manga Rex will be swinging at the Vanguard, eating the Vicious Claw to draw one card, and the Vicious Claw will activate his skill to actually give the gauge to the hand, and he does show off the sweeper there. And the sweeper will swing for the last attack for 3 gauge already on the top of it. And he's already at 3 damage, and this might prove very difficult for the Himiko player. So he does go for the grade 2 trial deck right here once again, checking the top 2 and putting 1 to soak. He does call the Ulixis. Very strong Regas, but they are forced to go face if you want to draw the cards. And looks like the Genesis will be pushing at the cat, and the Tachikaze does let it go, trashing into a critical trigger here. And he does swing with the Ulixis, and the Tachikaze does hit it. And he'll be swinging once again, and using the skill once again to actually draw 1 and soul charge 1. And the Tachikaze does confidently eat till 4 damage, which is a smart move given that Himiko can swing at 5 criticals at you. So it's a better idea to actually eat till 5 damage or 4 damage, but the idea is that the CEO can restand anyway, so it's still quite scary. So Tachikaze does try into the Anger Blader and now cause the Vicious Claw there. And will the turn just end here? And he does call the second sweeper here. Will we be seeing a third sweeper? We do see a third sweeper in his hand, so this is super scary for the Genesis player. Now using the Anger Blader skill to actually put 1 of the gauge to the sweeper and now massively charging it. Now he does call the Great 1 here. And the Vicious Claw will proc because as long as it retires, it goes to the drop zone, you can actually use his skill. Now using the Great 1 to actually give 1 gauge to the sweeper, give to the other sweeper, and then using its skill to actually give 5k power, and then using the Anger Blader skill to actually give the gauge to the sweeper, calling once another cat to give more gauges, Anger Blader to give more gauges, and the Great 1 here to actually give 1 gauge to the unit, and the unit does plus power for each gauge it has, and then using the Anger Blader once again. And it looks like the Tachikaze player will be committing his whole entire hand down to go for this final turn. And does use the sweeper skill to actually get 1 more gauge, and this unit does have 5 gauge on top of him, but the Genesis player do eat into a draw trigger here, very fortunate, and will definitely help him. Effectively, a damage trigger will be 2 gauges off a single sweeper. That sweeper will be very big because of the Great 1 skill, and we do see yet another damage trigger. So effectively, it cuts off 4 gauges for the sweeper. Very strong player, I would say, for the Genesis. Does use the Anger Blade to actually withstand the triple sweeper here. Opting for no guard because it's already on 23k Vanguard, already at 30k Vanguard. The sweeper will swing. And the only big one will be the one with the Great 1 skill buff. The rest are actually technically minus 4 gauges, so they are mostly 15 to 20k guard. And we do see Genesis do have a healthy hand because of the Ulixis he did commit earlier. We do see a Kanzen drop for the bigger sweeper. And this smaller sweeper will be guarded with a 20k shield, and this is Genesis turn once again. He'll be riding to the Himiko here, and which will conclude the game, I suppose. Going for the marker 2 to the side, so he should have the CEO here. He does it, and he will be searching for the non, calling out the non. And you'll be allowed to gauge the units. And do note a small misplay here, he does soul charge 2, but I think he mixed up with the non-effect, so he will be drawing 1 less card here. So sorry for that. He does call the second non though. Going for the draw 1 first, and putting 1 of the gauge, and then soul charging 2. Now using the Himiko skill, but we do not see a critical trigger in the soul, so he does go for the draw triggers, and he'll be pumping onto the Himiko, or rather the CEO. And do note that because he's already at 4 damage, the CEO will just have to swing twice with the marker 2 buff, and it will be sufficient. So it does actually call this grade 3 here to soul charge 6. Now we do see the critical trigger finally in the soul, but it's too late. It does swing with the Himiko here for only 13k, but given that Angle Blader only have 2 hand size, it doesn't really matter. You do see a critical here, but he actually BM actually went for this side. So the Himiko, or rather the Genesis, will be, the CEO will be swinging for 3 crit, but he swing with the other CEO first, using his skill to restand, and then swing again, and this is game. Thank you for watching till the end, and do consider subscribing and dropping a like and a comment if you do enjoy the content.